Could you talk to us about souvenir hunting? What kind of souvenirs did you guys pick up, sir?
Well, when you say souvenirs, it brings me back to the day that my twin brother was shot on Guam. When he was shot, they were used. The regiment was using the first platoon, the K Company, as the point. When the battalion moved, well, you had a point, which is the Marines that was out in front of the battalion going. Well, for some reason or another, his platoon was the point when they start moving out, and then after that battle on Mount Chowchow, when he got wounded the first time, that duty fell to the second platoon, which was my platoon. So the next morning, when we turned left, going towards the end of the island, where they had to have a new point. So the second platoon was the new point, which I was in charge of the second platoon. I was the platoon sergeant, second platoon. And so we turned left and start moving out. We didn't get very far until we come to this open field, and it was real tall grass growing up. It's up that tall, grass. And we had we spread out, had distance between the men, we started moving out. And I gave the word to move out, so the battalion started moving in that direction. And we didn't move too far until we come across a lump of trees out there in the middle of all that tall grass, around it. And there was a lump of trees that was 200 yards much long and 100 yards wide, trees. Well, we got up pretty close to where that was at. And all of a sudden, we run into some real problems. And I was working with the tank, telling the tank, I had the phone on the back of the tank. It was connected to the people in the tank, that was driving the tank. And I was telling them where to fire when we got up close to that bunch of trees, because we start receiving fire from the trees. And I was going to tell them where to fire. The 75 millimeter gun on top of on the tank. And we got up pretty close, and then the machine guns opened up on us. They had about 3 or 4 machine guns and firing right into the front of the tank. And it was just firing. I was perfectly safe right behind the tank, and I was on the phone telling him where to fire with the 75 millimeter weapon, And I pulled him right on up pretty close to where he was at, and then I looked up and I saw an anti-tank weapon. I mean, the firing coming out of the deal, and I saw Japs running right in the tall grass right by the trees. It looked like they're setting up another deal. And all of a sudden, those guys in the tank that I was telling, where to fire, I tell them fire the 75 millimeter right, and I was trying to hit right in the middle of the deal. They fired a couple of times, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of Japs run out in front and start setting up another deal, anti-tank weapon, with a deal, setting up, and start firing a machine gun, and all of a sudden I got right up pretty close to it, and I realized they wasn't doing what I was telling them. I looked in my phone to the back of the tank, had come loose from the back of the tank, and I lost communication with the people in the tank. And I looked and I saw two of my men had already been hit. Henry on the left side of where I was up close to where I was at, hit, and another one's right up there. And the guys in the tank looked out, they could see just a little bit out of that front tank, and they saw them setting up that anti-tank weapon out in front, and shoved that tank in reverse, gonna come backwards, get out of the way of that anti-tank weapon. Well, I jumped up on top of the back of the tank, and with the butt of my carbine, I started hitting on the trap door to open it, Finally, I got him to open it. I said, "Stop, stop." And he stopped. Just that tank would have run over Henry as one of the men that he'd been shot right through the leg like that. And it got close to where he was at. It would run over him, And they stopped the tank just before it run over him. And I looked up and I heard Captain Crawford and laying down in that tall grass. He said, "Buck, you're going to get hit. You're going to get off it. You're going to get hit." He kept on saying, and I didn't pay attention to him until I got that tank stopped. And when I got it stopped, it was just about a foot from where this one guy that tank run over. Got it stopped. And then all of a sudden I looked around. I was standing up on top of the tank. The bullets was ricocheting off the tank. I don't know why they didn't shoot me off the top of the tank, but when I turned and looked, and here come a guy, a Jap running out towards the tank with something in his hand like that, What it was is an anti-tank grenade, He was going to slap it on the side of the tank and blow that tank, And the guys in the tank had saw him coming, and that's the reason they were trying to maneuver in a different position, But when I turned around and looked at him, and then he didn't make it. I got him before he got to the tank. And just as he was fixing to throw it toward hit a tank, I got him, and he fell on the deal and exploded. I don't know what all happened after it exploded, but anyway, I stopped the tank before it run over Henry and this other guy, and but it was a horrendous deal. Of course, Captain Crawford saw the dog. He recommended from sergeant to platoon sergeant and awarded me the Bronze Star and all that kind of stuff. But he never let me live that down. He always said I was a good replacement for my brother. Talking about being the point as the deal, but to make a long story short, the guy who lost his leg, cut his leg off, his right leg right at his hip, right below his hip. He survived. But the main thing I wanted to tell you about, when he was in my outfit all during the war, and he used to tell me what happened in World War One. His father was a soldier in World War One, and he got shot, and he lost his left leg right at his hip like this. And he used to tell me, he said, "Look, man, if I ever get hit," he says, "I sure hope I don't have to go like my father." He says, all of his adult life, he's had to use crutch. He lost his left leg in World War One. And sure enough, Henry lost his right leg in World War II at the same place. And he lives in northern Kentucky, right up on the border. And he was alive the last time I knew. He came to one of our reunions in Louisville, Kentucky. And he didn't know all about this deal, you know, how when he went down, he was unconscious, you know. So, but he found out about it, and and I got a picture. It's in that book, I think. I'll show it to you. While we were at Louisville, he and I and another sergeant, I got a picture of the two of them at the Kentucky Derby. There's a card in there, the Kentucky Derby.
That is such an incredible story. And I mean, stuff like that you can't even make up.
No, well.
And I'm sure he is eternally grateful for the fact you saved him.
Yeah,
That's just the truth.
It's unbelievable that, and the guy in the picture with him and me was took at the Kentucky Derby. His name was Schutz, Sergeant Schutz, and this man was wounded 5 times during 3 operations, and he was right there at the Kentucky Derby with us. I mean, he was crippled and, you know, in bad shape, but the 3 of us took a picture, obviously, between the 2 of them at the Kentucky Derby. You know, and last I heard of him, he was in a nursing home in Baton Rouge, his hometown, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And you talk about a tough guy. He was tough.
I don't know. You're pretty tough yourself.
Oh no, I'm not. Listen. I went through the whole war. Something happened. I didn't get hurt in any way.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there was more than 1 million opportunities where you were that close.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I get thinking about that Jap that would run out of the woods fixing to slap that magnetic mine on the side of the tank. He thought he had everything in control. But I was standing up on the tank with my rifle, my carbine, and somebody hollered. I think it was Captain Crawford hollered, "Look, Buck, look!" And when I turned and looked, and there he was running to the tank with a magnetic mine in his hand, going to slap it on the side of the tank. You know, he'd have killed everybody in that tank. That powerful weapon, that magnetic mine, you know. And he was running, and he was awful close. I didn't aim him. I just did like that.
How close did that Japanese soldier with the anti-tank grenade? How close did he actually get?
Get to the tank?
Yeah, to you and the tank.
I'd say he was about as close to me at that wall.
So we're talking about maybe 7 feet, 10 feet?
About 10 feet. He was coming, he'd already done like this. He was going to slap on the side of the tank, see. So he was holding it up over his head like this. And it's a magnetic mine, you know. We slap it on there, and then the fuse sets it off. And it does a terrific job on a tank. he'll blow a hole in the side of that tank and either kill or numb the people in the tank. That tank, you know what the tank does? He just tears up them wheels, tears up, and when I looked down and saw and the guys were scared that they had lamps. They saw him setting up the anti-tank weapon deal, you know. So they were going to put it in reverse. They're going to come backwards, you know. And man, they made a mistake when they opened up the door. And I said, stop, 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 stop. And I guess they thought it was fixing it. I don't know what they thought, but they stopped the tank. That's all I wanted. I didn't want it to run over Henry. I saw him laying there. Tall grass, that grass was up as high as your camera practically, you know. After we left that position, where the lump of trees and where the tank and everything after that, we start moving out, and we didn't move very far, just a short distance that day, but there was some Souvenir hunters, nameless Seabees, was behind us, and one of the men he run up. He found out that we were the unit that took it, and he said, "Is anything?" No, he says, "Is there any guns or anything left up there in that bunch of trees and stuff like that?" I said, "No." I said, I don't know, but I said I know there was 3 dead Japanese officers that had swords on them, and I said, "You might find a sword if you go up there and look someplace." And before we moved out from there, well, he came back, and he was one more happy guy. He found him one of those Japanese swords, you know, that were on the side, you know. And he thanked me for telling him, you know, where I might find one, where he might find them. But he found one, and there's a bunch of guys like that, you know. They like souvenirs and stuff like that.
And you know, they go home and they come up with a wild story of how they got it.
Yeah.
He probably replaced himself with you on top of the tank,
Yeah.
and that's how he got his swords.
Well,